Yeah, it's been a really weird day today, because I think probably for the first time felt I've crashed down a bit. I've been on a real high, and regardless of not having very much sleep and things, I mean, that's caused problems, not least of which my timekeeping at work. But, I still was sort of like running on some invisible energy or whatever that was keeping me going. But today, it wasn't even I mean, I had a reasonable night's sleep last night, but I was riddled with more sort of dysphoric feelings this morning. I'd watched myself on a video that I'd done not that long ago, and I sort of caught sight of me and my binder, and it just didn't quite look right. And it sort of reminded me of this tension that I've got inside between sort of like, obviously I'm feeling a lot more masculine and that. I mean, it's not a big change that from how I felt before, because I obviously felt that anyway, but my body is changing inside out now, and when the reality is I've got these big breasts. I'm unlucky enough to be quite a big guy, and I have to wear two binders and that. And I mean, while I've had the funding now sort of theoretically agreed for what surgery I need, that's going to take some time. And meanwhile, I'm having to. It's not so much. I mean, I've got really good support around me, and work, and everyone around me, family, Carmen, friends. Everyone is being really fantastic. But in my job as well, I have to go out and meet people that I don't know and form relationships very quickly, relationships that work, and people can at least have a little bit of trust. And I have this sort of fear about how I'm experienced, and if that's going to be a barrier to me to be able to do that. And you know today I just didn't feel like I was able to, and that sort of, it felt like I was at the top of, I've been climbing out this chasm, that I've sort of experienced my depression in and that, and I've not been in that pit for some time now, but today it really did feel like I was sort of falling back in, sliding. I'm not at that rock bottom at all, but it's reminding me that you know this is sort of quite a hard, massive thing to do. When you got responsibilities as well, I can't afford to make mistakes in my work. There's a lot that's at stake, and managing risk. You know, I manage risk with young people, and you know, whereas that's probably not valued as much as managing risk in the corporate sector or whatever, where there's big things at stake, and if my thinking is not quite on the ball and that, then I struggle. And I've noticed that a lot of the videos online and that quite rightly talk about all the physical changes that we're experiencing when we start tea, but for me what's been really important is the impact that it has on my emotional expression as well. That I'm a counsellor, that my emotional expression and my empathic connection with other people is the bread and butter, the tools of my trade. And when that's affected, it really sort of is a barrier for me. And when I'm on a good day and that, and I'm sort of, then that's fine. But today wasn't one of those days, and it frustrates me that I imagine, I'm then thinking about what other people think about me, and not being able to cope and all of that sort of like stuff. And you know, I'm just waiting for this to stabilise so that I can feel that I am okay. I know what I'm feeling. I know that that person is connecting with me, or not connecting with me, and it's not because they're a bit concerned about, am I a woman or am I a man? Because that's my fear at the moment, that that's what people are going to do. That's going to be like a barrier, and they're going to be a little bit mistrustful of me because of that confusion. And I know that does happen. I know that does happen. I was at the market with my mum. I mean, before I started tea and that, but I was at the market with my mum, and the guy on the stall said, I mean, he was just busy serving customers and everything, and mum was waiting to be served, and I was just sort of in the background, and in the middle of just complete, conversations about the weather or whatever he was talking about, he suddenly looked at me and then just completely randomly started talking about fish changing sex. He'd obviously seen something, read something in the Sun or something about like I know hormone pollution and everything, and fish changing sex, which incidentally they do naturally anyway. But anyway, that's another thing. But he'd looked at me, and then his subconscious had sort of just switched on this thing that he'd read about changing sex, and it did make me laugh. In fact, my mum really laughed afterwards as well. But I know that could potentially be an issue, and when my job is about sort of establishing effective, trusting relationships, to be able to get information quickly, or sort of to be able to just support people effectively, um, then I've got to work that one through, and just sort of feel far more comfortable being me, which I know will be easier once I've had the chest surgery, but I've got to cope between then and now, so fingers crossed.